Assalamualaikum to our beloved lecturer, Madam Sri Ali Masuri. Today, my team members are going to present a case on a BesiCo, where this is a big company that produce metal in Malaysia. Losses are up, profits are down. This company currently has some issues that cause a little bit chaos to them. The company currently faces a big loss to them, which brings on a lot of trouble until it is going to be delisted by Bursa Malaysia. Thus, BesiCo is really disappointed with the current team progress on what the team has made. In this presentation, we will review the losses that the company has faced for the past years and give an overview on whether BesiCo can be a great company again in the future.
Hello, my name is Akrab Hamim and I will present about the first issue, which is the quality and pricing issue. So for the quality issue, the quality of the Giant Steel's product is not meet the exact specification. Giant Steel is unable to produce downstream products such as steel rolls, pipe, sheets, wires, and other forms of steel products, although it is still demanded for the safeguard measures. Moving on to the pricing issue. For the pricing issue, uh, the pricing of the Giant Steel is not competitive as they sell the product at premium of 400 to 500 ringgit above the global average price. Despite having declining revenue due to excessive dumping activities by the Chinese steel makers, BesiCo and Giant Steel also faced the rising raw material costs for scrap iron and iron ore, which were denominated in US dollar. The meaning of the dumping is when a country's businesses lower the sales price of their export to unfairly gain market share. So, here is the potential solution and arguments why BesiCo need to shut down the company instead of continuing their businesses. So for the quality issue, the potential solution here is produce a product that meet the exact specification as demanded, which is the upstream and downstream product. The argument here is in order to fulfill the demanded specification, giants still need to incur more production costs than before since they need to produce downstream products also. As you can see, their production cost was already high. If this solution is taken, they will bear more losses than before. So for the pricing issue, the potential solution is enforcing anti-dumping law. So the argument here is stated that in the case saying that the government had rejected the petition made by BesiCo and Giant Steel to seek for safeguard duties on imports of HRC at the rate of 55% import duties and 25.4% anti-dumping activities, since the petition will affect the total duty payable to surge up to 60% and more. The petition might protect the dominant position for the Giant Steel, but it is also hurting the country's public interest. Hence, there is no other way for the Giant Steel and BesiCo can do to solve their issue at the moment. So, for the last potential solution for the pricing issue is switch to a new supplier or make efforts to research new potential suppliers. So the argument here is without proper research, you could end up getting wrong suppliers. The solution might increase costs in order to do the research of a new suppliers. The solution is also need time to be implemented. It is not easy as it looks to switch to a new supplier. The raw material provided by the new supplier might be more cheap, but the quality is also need to be focused in order to maintain customer satisfaction. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Afiq. Today I will present about the adverse audit opinion. Let's move to the issues first. Currently, Besi Corporation Berhad received an email from Auditor Best and Associates which states that an adverse audit opinion. This opinion might occur when the company do not conform to generally accepted accounting standards, which is GAAP. This opinion might occur too because of the financial data supporting the financial statements have been grossly misrepresented. This shows that the auditor not satisfied at all with the financial statements. The high level of misstatements will create situation which investors and the government will mistrust companies' financial reports. In this case, Charles told Wynne to give the auditors full cooperation and follow accordingly the accounting standard as the adverse opinion or report would be a big blow to the C company. Next, we move to the impact of adverse audit opinion. The investors may take this opinion seriously and will reject doing any kind of business with the company. This also will lead to legal trouble and bad decision making. This impact also might be indication of fraud, which the financial statements of the company do not reflect true and fair view. As example from the audit queries by the Oriental Best and Associates, the auditor unable to ascertain the appropriateness of its reported balance at cost basis as well as its revaluation reserves. The auditor unable to ascertain the recoverability of such inventories and hence the appropriateness to report them at cost basis. And the last one, the auditor unable to ascertain the extent of adjustment needed for the onerous contract. Next, we move to the potential solution. The company might respond by correcting the financial statements and having the audit performed again. This is because of the heightened risk of error and fraud. The auditor will perform far more test work when the records are audited a second time. In order to get an unqualified opinion during the second audit, the management should invest time to investigate for possible fraud and to ensure that the company's internal controls are strong enough to reduce the risk of fraud from moving forward. Lastly, for the recommendation of the adverse audit opinion is the unqualified audit opinion can be achieved by reflecting the complete true figures of the financial statements. However, a lot of amendments in financial statement might occur. This probably the financial statements show the company in a critical stage or negative results. Compared to the previous reports, the latest might reveal more losses and this will keep away the investors to invest in this company.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Sufali. Next, I will discuss the next reason on why we suggest for BesiCo to close its operation. So, with the current financial state of BesiCo, the company will not be able to attract investors to invest in their company. So, in this case, a potential foreign investor from China has agreed to meet with the founder of BesiCo, Mr. Charles, to discuss on the potential investment. However, the investor is concerned with the BesiCo financial standing. Although the Mr. Charles is confident that he can convince the investor to invest in his company, however, we think that it is unlikely the investor will make the investment. So let's see our reason for saying that. So there are three aspects of the company financial that the investor will be concerned with before making any investment decision, which is the company for profitability, company liquidity, and company debt level. So these three aspects can be measured by using these three ratio: profitability ratio, liquidity ratio, and leverage ratio. So first is the profitability ratio. So, profitability ratio measures a company's ability to generate income relative to revenue, balance sheet, operating cost, and equity. So, we'll be using the return on investment, which ROI, which is the measure the company ability to generate income using the shareholder equity. So, the formula is the net income divided by shareholder equity. So, we will get 0.1891 for the ROI of BesiCo. So, this is quite a low ROI. So a low ROI means that the company has ineffectively utilized its investment and produces loss. For investors, choosing a company with a good return on investment is important because a high ROI means that the firm is successful at using their investment to generate high return. Next is liquidity ratio. So liquidity ratio are financial ratio that measure a company's ability to repay both short-term and long-term obligation. So we'll be using the current ratio, which measure the company ability to pay its short-term obligation by using its current asset. So the formula for the current ratio is current asset divided by current liability. So we'll get 0.1486 for BesiCo current ratio. So a current ratio below 1 indicates that the company doesn't have enough liquid asset to cover its short-term liability. So this effect can already be seen in this case as the company has already default its payment to creditor during the year 2016 and 15. So last is leverage ratio. So the leverage ratio measures the amount of capital that come from debt. So in other words, leverage financial ratio are used to evaluate a company's debt level. So we will be using the debt ratio to see the level of asset or amount of asset that are financed by debt. So the formula for debt ratio is total liability divided by total asset. So we will get 12.27 for the debt ratio of BesiCo. So this is really high for the debt ratio for a company. So the high debt ratio indicates that most of the company asset have been financed by debt. So in general, many investors look for a company to have a debt ratio between 0.3 and 0.6. Since 0.6 or higher means that the company has taken a lot of risk and there is a higher chance for a company to not be able to pay their debt. So by looking at these three aspects, we can conclude that the company will not be able to attract any investor to invest in the company. So without a cash injection from investor, the company will not be able to survive in the business. That's all from me.
The fourth issue that BesiCo is facing in their company is that their workers on the giant steel protest on their retrenchments due to its bleeding operations. The company does not seem to be able to pay their workers anymore because, according to Alfred, the company executive director, claimed that the company is incurring losses in whatever they produce. Produce or not, the company bears the losses in which they had no options other than to lay their workers in orders to cut their loss. The company only can pay half of the workers' salary starting from the January during the current year, which proved that the company is in a critical situation. Charles, managing director of the company, was afraid that their workers would sue them regarding this issue. So, based on the issue that the company is facing, which is workers' protest retrenchment, what is or are the actions that can actually be taken by the company? So, according to the law, it is not permissible for the company to dismiss their employees without any valid reason. The company could not bear to afford the losses and they wanted to cut their costs. Thus, one of the options that came across their mind is that to retrench their workers. Due to the company being encouraged to shut down their operation, thus by hook or by crook, their workers need to be dismissed and retrenched. The issue here is there any proper way for the company to cut their costs, but at the same time, there is no issue coming from their workers in terms of suing and such. Firstly, it is best recommended for BesiCo to provide employee notice where they clearly state their intention to dismiss their employee. By providing this notice, it would at least help their workers get themselves prepared on the day they will leave the company. Next, the company also should pay compensation to their workers, for example, maybe like 3 months' salary or any that is logical and tolerable. By giving compensation, yes, of course, it will cost the company to pay, but in the long term run, it will be beneficial due to there is no suing issues which can bring to court cases. Reputation of the company is good and employees also can tolerate to look after to look into new jobs if they are laid off. Best belief is not only good for the employees side but for both in this situation. Giving compensation here proves that the company is taking responsibility and still looking into their workers' welfare, although they had to suffer from losses they had from the losses they had. Also, we believe that the employees would feel much better to leave the company with good terms and some money in their hands rather than they leave the company with nothing.
My name is Muhammad Akid Hanafi and I will be continuing with regularization plan. To know about what is regularization plan, we have to know about PN17. PN17 stands for Practice Note 17/2005 and it is issued by Bursa relating to companies that are in financial distress. BesiCo has been listed as one of the company with PN17 status. The reason BesiCo are to be listed as PN17 it is because auditor expressed adverse opinion on the company financial account. To avoid delisting, BesiCo need to submit their regularization plan to Securities Commission to restructure and revive the company. There are three ways that the regularization plan can center around. The first one, which is the main one, is a potential new investor. Injection of fresh capital via new shareholder can play a huge role in reviving and restructuring BesiCo. This is possible since they are in contact with new potential investors from China. The proposed investment will allow BesiCo to raise the much needed funds for its working capital requirement and expenses relating to the proposed regularization plan. The second option is to dispose other subsidiaries. Selling other subsidiaries such as other division of property division and furniture division to boost and focus on Giant Steel performance since it is the main contributor to BesiCo financial account. Proceed from disposal of other subsidiaries can also assist in raising fund in order for the regularization plan to succeed. The third one is fundraising activities. Fundraising activities such as holding a marathon or bowling tournament are also one of proven corporate ideas to raise fund. Since our solution for BesiCo is to be closed down, they cannot avoid being delisted from public listing since they cannot come up with a successful regulation plan. The potential solution that I provided from previous slide, I'm going to tell you why it is unfeasible because of a couple of factors. The first one, investor from China. This option are unlikely to happen since they request to take a look on BesiCo current financial account. BesiCo financial account are too negative to be seen as a potential investment that can bring profit in short term. Commonly, investor will usually avoid this type of company. This is the reason that injection of fresh capital by a new investor are to be seen as impractical because it is unlikely to happen. The second, which is the disposal of other subsidiaries. Proceed from disposal of other subsidiaries are used for working capital requirement. Proposed regularization plan are also a non-viable option. Compared to steel division, other divisions such as property and furniture division are considered minuscule and insignificant. There are not enough to revive BesiCo. The third one, which is fundraising activities, propose ideas such as marathon and bowling tournament to assist for fundraising in order to meet the requirement for regularization plan are too unreasonable. This is because the maximum amount that can be received from such ideas are nowhere near enough to be considered as proper regularization plan that can restructure and revive BesiCo to lose PN17 status and avoid being delisted.
So for the overall conclusion, based on the 5 reasons or problem that we have stated in this video, we have all agreed to suggest for BesiCo to close down its operation. Although we can give a suggestion for BesiCo to recover, however, it may take a long time for BesiCo to recover all its losses throughout the year. And we all agree that, and we think that BesiCo can no longer sustain for that long with its current state right now. So that's all from us. Thank you.